Hey guys, welcome back to Coach All Writes. If you are struggling with your evidence and commentary for AP Lang Q3, I have a solution for you. Podcasts. Okay, so hear me out on this one. Evidence and commentary is row B of the rubric, and students should aim for either a 3 or a 4. And that means that students need specific evidence. No generalizations, no somewhat specific evidence. Now, this evidence can include personal experience. However, some of the prompts don't really lend themselves to personal experience, or students might not want to only include personal experience because they want to broaden their evidence. And so we need to think about how else we can incorporate specific evidence. So think about some of the topics you cover in school. History, politics, current events, those are all great. You can also think about things like sports, economics, literature, philosophy, psychology. But what if you don't know a lot about these topics? Well, that's where podcasts come in. And so one thing I would encourage you to do is to start making podcasts part of your daily routine. One of the great things about podcasts is that there are so many podcasts out there devoted to specific topics. So if you have particular interests in certain areas, you are likely to find podcasts devoted to that topic. And a lot of times, the people who are creating these podcasts are experts themselves. So you're going to be getting really strong information. And if you can incorporate this into your daily routine, it can help you develop a knowledge base before the exam. So listen to the podcast on your way to school, on the bus, as you're getting ready. This can really help you internalize some of this knowledge. And quite frankly, some of these podcasts are really entertaining. So the question becomes, where do I start? If I want to listen to podcasts, what do I do? Well, you have to decide how you're going to listen to them. There's an iPhone app, or you can listen to them on Spotify. So determine where you're going to listen to them first. Then you need to figure out what type of podcast you are looking for. So I would recommend identifying about 3 subject areas or topics that you would like to know more about. These need to be topics that you are interested in, because the whole point of this is to not be bored. Choose topics that you actually care about and want to know more about. This is supposed to be fun, and it's a great way to delve into topics that you're already somewhat familiar with, or a way to take what you've learned in class and dig a little bit deeper. So if you're in a different AP class, maybe you could have a little bit of a crossover there, especially if it's like AP history or something. So what I would recommend that you do is find podcasts that cover these 3 topics that you've chosen. Try to make sure that your topics are a bit diverse. So don't do like American history, world history, European history, because that's essentially all history. Try to choose something a little bit more diverse than those 3 topics. One thing to think about, though, is that once you find a podcast, especially if it's an ongoing podcast, you should subscribe to it. That way you get notifications if there are new episodes. I would also recommend going back and listening to old episodes. You can read the description of it to see if it's something that you might be interested in. And you don't have to listen to the episode if you don't like it. So consider taking notes about the examples in the podcast, because you are trying to, in some sense, study for the exam, even though you don't know what the prompt is going to be in 2020. So take notes on your phone or in a notebook if you can, or talk about the podcast with somebody. That could be a great way to share your knowledge. So one thing you need to think about, though, is how could you use the evidence in an essay? So one thing that I did is I started thinking about existing prompts. And so I found some podcasts that would be good examples for the disobedience prompt. But since they've already done a prompt about disobedience, I had to ask myself, okay, wait a minute, how else could we use this? Well, these examples would be good if we were talking about unsung heroes and also risk versus reward. So don't just listen to the podcast. Ask yourself how you could use the evidence in an essay. Admittedly, I'm relatively new to podcasts myself, but I have found several that I like, and so I want to share some of my favorites with you in case you're new to podcasts as well. So let's talk about history, because that's one of my favorite subjects. And so I have found a few history podcasts that I really like. I like Ridiculous History, Cautionary Tales, Following Harriet, and Revisionist History. So the Following Harriet one is a really short one just about Harriet Tubman. Ridiculous History, I really like the 2 hosts on that one. And Cautionary Tales, I think, is one that has a lot of knowledge that students could use in different ways. So I highly recommend that one as well. If you like Malcolm Gladwell, check out Revisionist History. If you like his style, maybe you've read Outliers or The Tipping Point, and you like that type of thing, his podcast is sort of similar to the way he writes. So I would recommend these for history. However, there are several other history-based podcasts out there. These are just the ones that I have connected with the most. I've grouped my remaining favorites under the category of general knowledge simply because each of these podcasts offers a diverse array of information among the episodes. And so if you're looking to start listening to podcasts but you don't really know where to start, this would be a good starting point because there's a wide variety here. Of these, I would say TED Talks Daily would be a really great place to start simply because each episode is a TED Talk, and TED Talks are given by people who are experts in their field, so you're getting credible information over a wide variety of topics. They're not done thematically, so each day it's something very different. So if you don't like the topic, you don't have to listen to it that day. Now, the bottom one listed is another favorite of mine simply because I really like underdog stories, and this is written for a younger audience, but I do think high school students could enjoy and appreciate the episodes. Each episode follows a different famous female character, and so you learn a lot about different cultures and also different time periods as well. And so this can be a great way to expand not only your knowledge base of a particular person in terms of like their biography, but also just getting that worldly knowledge that you might need for the exam. If you guys have a favorite podcast or favorite podcast episode that you think would benefit AP Lang students, leave me a comment below and let me know what that is. Also, if you have not subscribed and turned on those notifications, please do so because I'm going to be doing a cram for the exam series on this channel leading up to the exam, and I would hate for you to miss those tips. So until next time, guys, happy writing.